What's up, guys? Sonic117 here, back with another part to the Nero and Dante Devil May Cry 4 playthrough, and now we are going to be starting the Dante section of the game on Son of Sparta, so let's begin.
Lend me your ears and fangs. Destroy this world so that the true utopia can be Judgment Day has arrived!
So why are these knights better at killing demons than I am?
Do not fear! Our Savior has come for us to deliver us salvation! We must repent and rejoice, for the world has not yet come to an end!
That's a solid performance for an old fart like you.
So yeah, now we are going to be switching from Nero to Dante for most of the rest of the game. As you can see from this little card here, most of the stuff that you've collected as Nero carries over, like your currency, and all the upgrades to your health and devil trigger that you've gotten throughout your adventure. And all the proud souls you've gotten that you spent on upgrades as Nero will now be refunded, so you can spend them all as Dante. So that's really nifty. But yeah, Dante is very different from Nero in terms of how you're supposed to play him and how complex he is. He's very, very complicated. He's got, well, how about I show you guys a bit before we really start this mission off. So this is his main gimmick, is the style change. He has 4 stances, 5 by the end of the game, but we'll get to that later. And each of the stances grants him new attacks on the B button. And let me just do a quick rundown of each stance that he has. Once we get rid of these guys, I'll just use his basic combos here. So right now, all you have is Rebellion, which is the name of his sword, and you also have 2 guns, the Ebony and Ivory pistols and the shotgun. You can charge them, but they don't work like Nero's. Instead, they get into a powered-up state for a few seconds. And Dante only has 2 basic combos. He's got 1, 2, 3, and he's got 1 stop, and then he's got this rapid attack. Those are the only combos you have by default with Dante. He doesn't have an aerial combo. He just has that slam. And yeah, he feels very limited at first. You may see that there's another weapon I'm skipping by. We're not getting that until later, so I'm going to try and avoid using it until we're supposed to get it. Just like how I didn't use Nero's Devil Trigger until then. But speaking of Devil Trigger, Dante's doesn't grant him the invincible reversal that Nero's does, but it's still pretty nifty. So let me do a quick explanation of what the stances do. Trickster, which is done by pressing up on the D-pad, gives you dashes and teleports. That teleport's supposed to get to an enemy if you locked onto them. He can do air dashes. He can like jump off people's heads if he dashes into them. It's a very simple stance, just to increase his mobility. Left on the D-pad is Gunslinger, which is pretty much exactly how it sounds. It grants him new gun moves, both on the ground and in the air, and it changes depending on what gun you have. So these are like the pistol attacks, and you have like a gun stinger, a back shot, and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. Swordmaster, which is my favorite one, gives him new sword combo attacks. So he's got this launcher. He's got an aerial combo in this mode, which is why it's my favorite, because it means he can capitalize on more stuff. He's got this auto combo. I'm just mashing the B button right now. And it's very powerful, but it leaves you open at the end. And he's got this drive attack, which allows him to shoot projectiles out of his sword. And that's one thing I forgot to mention. He can actually normally charge his sword and throw it at a locked enemy. But of course, you can't use the sword while it's away from you. You have to call it back first. And so that's pretty much Swordmaster. You can also do a quicker version of this drive attack, but it's a little weird to do. And finally, he's got Royal Guard, which is my least favorite. Basically, it grants him a block move, where he takes this stance, and the closer that you hit block to the opponent's attack, the more of that gauge underneath the style cycle is, that little empty bar next to his Devil Trigger. And that bar can be used to release energy in like a punch that does a lot of damage to opponents, or you can use it to give yourself like a suit of armor, like this. But of course, I have none of the gauge, so it's not going to last very long. So yeah, those are the stances, and you can switch between them very fast using the D-pad. But obviously, a lot of people don't really have the dexterity to do this while they're managing all the enemies on screen and like getting all this stuff done. So most casual players just stick with one stance. And I didn't want to do that for this playthrough, so I put in about an hour of practice just trying to get into the swing of constantly switching stances to fit the needs of the fight to make this playthrough a little more entertaining. So I hope that I satisfy you guys, but I'm no pro with Dante at all, and he's definitely my least favorite character to play as out of the 2. There is one character I like less than him in this game, but we're not going to be seeing her. You're going to see me be using Stinger a lot because I really like Stinger. Oh, I tried to parry that and messed up. You're going to be seeing that a lot. Yeah, Dante doesn't do damage as fast as Nero does because he doesn't have access to revving up his sword. And his more damaging options don't come until later in the game. But now we're going to pick up the talisman that Nero left behind to activate this elevator. I'm going to skip that. No one really needs to care. And now they give us an arbitrary time limit. I'm not really sure why, but whatever. So there's a gold orb over there that we can use to... Oops, I entered a stance that we were not supposed to have yet, so I'm going back to Trickster. So then you have this elevator, another elevator section. The shotgun is really good for keeping the opponents down. I can't believe that guy still hit me. Oh my god, you can see I'm not good with Dante. And I don't like these enemies either. But his stinger becomes super powerful when you enter Devil Trigger, so that helps. Yeah, that was a pathetic performance. I am not good with this character. And I think that the way that the game just abruptly switches to Dante, a much more complex character in the middle of the game, it's pretty jarring. So now they recommend that you switch guns, but I'm just going to switch to Gunslinger, which makes these guys completely easy. And home run! So now we just completely break this thing. And get it to stop. Trickster helps out with this a bit, if you know what you're doing, which I don't. I'm just gonna run. I gotta deal with these guys. Royal Guard really helps against these guys because you can deflect their shield bash with Royal Guard. What the? Why'd he do it again? Yeah, and your guard can break like that. And what the? I didn't even see that guy. Now we're just trapped in this corner. I can't even see what's going on. Alright, so we filled up some of that royal gauge, as you can see up there. And we got this little devil star, which increases our devil trigger. And now the castle's dead. For some reason. And now we're just running from it. So yeah, in Dante's section, we're pretty much just going backwards through the entire game. Because that's fun.
You ordered the sword, huh?
Yes. Are you familiar with them?
Sorry, religion and I don't mix.
It's a small congregation that gathers in the castle town of Fortuna. I guess the only people who would have heard of it are the ones who take interest in this type of thing.
Like you.
Exactly. So just how much do you know about Sparta?
Well, from what I can figure, there's a lot of confusion surrounding them.
The story goes that Sparta served as the feudal lord of the city long ago. The people who live there today take these legends as truth and worship them, just like a god.
They worship a demon as a god?
Peaceful worship can't be condemned, but the real problem is the order. Lately, they've been running amok, catching demons, and have even butted in on some of my jobs.
Maybe they're starting a zoo.
Not just demons. They've also been targeting devil arms, like the ones you have.
Okay, then, a museum. So what?
Well, what if their intentions are foul? And there's a diabolical plan behind these apparently random acts?
Well then, I'd have something to keep me occupied, and... Trish! Things always gotta be complicated.
Anyway, guys, that's it for the first part of the Dante part of the Nero Dante Devil May Cry 4 playthrough. I'll see you all next time.